Every single front office in the National Football League operates under a brutal, unforgiving clock, but few minds manipulate time and money quite like the architects in Philadelphia. Imagine building a roster so aggressively talented, so ruthlessly forward-thinking, that opposing general managers are left staring at spreadsheets in absolute disbelief, wondering how it is mathematically possible to keep the machine running. But behind the glossy training camp highlights, the record-breaking extensions, and the breathtaking speed on the practice fields, a hidden war of attrition is being waged. Bodies are breaking down, historic legacies are hanging in the balance, and an entire franchise is walking a razor-thin tightrope between immortality and complete disaster. Before we dive into how one shocking contract completely alters the balance of power in the trenches, take a second to hit that subscribe button if you want the fastest, most unfiltered NFL updates on the planet. The market for elite interior defensive linemen has officially exploded into a game of financial Russian roulette, and the front office just pulled the trigger on a deal that will alter the landscape of professional football for years to come. When the dust settled on a massive 4-year contract extension worth $152 million in total value, featuring a staggering $106.85 million in guaranteed cash, the highest-paid defensive tackle in NFL history was crowned. At an average annual value of $38 million, this is not merely a reward for past production. It is an astronomical investment in sheer, unadulterated dominance. To truly understand the audacity of this move, you have to look at what has been happening across the league. Earlier in the offseason, the market hovered around the high-water mark set by Chris Jones years ago at just under $32 million per year. Then came the shockwaves, a 3-year, $101 million guaranteed deal for Quinton Williams in Dallas, followed closely by Jeffrey Simmons locking down a 3-year, $100 million guaranteed extension with the Titans. Both players are elite, but both are also creeping past their mid-20s. Williams stands at 28, Simmons at 29. Then enters the crown jewel of the defense, having just celebrated his 25th birthday. While rival executives handed out 3-year deals to older veterans, the master planners in Philadelphia utilized the 5th-year option to lock in a 4-year commitment. For a mere $5 to $6 million more in total guarantees than what Dallas and Tennessee shelled out for their older stars, the franchise secured an extra year of prime-age dominance from a player whose ceiling is terrifyingly high. This is a player who earned All-Pro honors in 2024. Yet the scariest part for opposing offensive coordinators is that he is still scratching the surface of his potential. Of course, massive contracts come with uncompromising demands, particularly regarding conditioning and lifestyle. Over the offseason, the young defensive anchor faced a harsh mirror and made a drastic lifestyle shift, ruthlessly cutting out sugary juices and what he lightheartedly referred to as heavy Big Daddy meals. With a specific target weight set by the coaching staff, he hit his goal before stepping onto the practice field, dropping 10 pounds of unnecessary bulk. The transformation has been immediately noticeable to anyone watching camp. He is moving faster, cutting sharper, and acting as an absolute terror in the trenches, playing with the terrifying agility of a much smaller athlete packed inside a devastating frame. Who's to blame when a defensive line completely demolishes an offensive scheme in practice? Or is this simply the birth of an unstoppable monster? Drop your thoughts below. Yet, as impressive as the trenches look, the offensive side of the ball is orchestrating a masterclass of its own, raising an even bigger question. What happens when a franchise quarterback rediscovers his ultimate superpower? The air in training camp is thick with anticipation, and the focal point of every single drill is a quarterback who looks entirely different than he did a year ago. Last season, the rushing production dipped noticeably, settling at 421 yards compared to a multi-year average approaching 700 yards per season from 21 through 24. The explosiveness seemed muted, the legs looked heavy, and the dynamic dual-threat element that once terrified defensive coordinators felt somewhat restrained. Not anymore. Word coming out of team practices is nothing short of electric. going up against a defense projected to rank among the top 3 to 5 units in the entire National Football League. The signal caller put on a clinic, completing 9 of 12 passes against a mix of first and second-string defenders without a single turnover. More importantly, the legendary legs have returned. Observers note that he looks leaner, faster, more nimble, and dangerously explosive. Even his own teammates feel the difference. When asked about it, the defensive tackle anchoring the line admitted that trying to chase the quarterback down this summer has been a stark reminder of just how fast he truly is. League insiders visiting the facility echoed the exact same sentiment, highlighting a renewed fluidity in designed quarterback runs. With a new offensive coordinator emphasizing the intricate details of the under-center offense, forcing a strict synchronization between footwork and eye movement, the game is visibly slowing down for him. When a quarterback of this caliber marries his physical speed with absolute mental clarity, the entire playbook opens up. The highlight reel from practice showcased this terrifying evolution. Picture a pristine 50-plus yard spiral sailing through the crisp air, dropping perfectly into the waiting hands of a wide receiver who burned the deep coverage at the third level. The connection was so explosive, so pure, that the receiver celebrated by launching the football completely over the practice facility fence. Another lightning-quick strike found a reliable target who has been turning heads all camp with vice grip hands and an uncanny ability to win in one-on-one matchups across the field, over the middle, and deep down the sideline. And then there's the running game, operating with a ruthless efficiency during high-pressure 2-minute drills. The backfield star began gashing the defense through massive, wide-open running lanes, a stark contrast to the cramped quarters and frustrating stagnation that plagued the ground game during stretches of the previous year. Even the infamous, unstoppable, short-yardage pushing scheme remains firmly implanted in the identity of the offense, ensuring that opposing defenses will have to defend every blade of grass, sideline to sideline, from the first whistle to the last. When a motivated quarterback with a coach's mentality finds a system that finally speaks his language, the results are catastrophic for the rest of the league. But as the offense reaches peak velocity, a sudden wave of physical setbacks threatens to derail the momentum entirely. Football is a game built on fragile margins, and the brutal reality of training camp is that glory often comes hand in hand with disaster. While the headline-grabbing plays dominate the media cycles, a quiet storm of injuries is threatening to test the depth and resilience of the entire roster. Consider the secondary, where an elite defensive coordinator known for his sharp tongue and old-school coaching philosophy recently delivered a brutally honest assessment of a rising star. When asked about a standout defensive back who earned first-team All-Pro honors in just his second year, the veteran coach deadpanned to the media that the player was still a virgin in the regular season, pointing out the amusing statistical quirk that despite accumulating 4 crucial interceptions in postseason play, he has yet to record a single interception during a regular season game. It is a funny anecdote that highlights how misleading raw statistics can be, but the humor quickly faded when that same star defensive back suffered a minor injury scare during practice, limping off before reassuring onlookers that he would be fine. Other areas of the roster are not nearly as fortunate. Depth is being tested to its absolute breaking point. A newly acquired edge rusher who secured a massive $50 million guaranteed contract is currently facing a nightmare scenario. After undergoing shoulder surgery earlier in the offseason, a lingering pectoral injury now threatens to keep him sidelined through the entirety of training camp and the preseason, casting serious doubt on his availability for the opening week of the regular season. Worse yet, the interior offensive line suffered a terrifying moment when a cornerstone guard limped off the field. The emotional weight of that injury hits particularly hard given the painful lessons of the past. The player has openly admitted deep regret over rushing back too soon from a knee injury last year, a decision that severely compromised his play and altered the trajectory of the team season. Complicating matters further, critical weapons on the outside continue to battle lingering hamstring issues. While team trainers maintain optimism that these soft tissue problems are not long-term, their absence opens the door for hungry fringe players to carve out permanent roles. A newcomer wide receiver has been making waves not only by making acrobatic catches and challenging veterans for roster spots, but also by fielding punts, a versatile skill set that could ultimately force difficult decisions in the front office when final cuts loom. Amidst the chaos of shuffling lineups, medical reports, and high-stakes roster battles, one thing remains crystal clear. The road to a championship is never a straight line. Every contract signed, every pound dropped, every deep ball thrown, and every taped-up ankle tells the story of a team obsessed with redemption. The pieces are all on the board, the talent is undeniable, and the margin for error is razor-thin. When the lights turn on and the real games begin, everything this franchise has built will be put to the ultimate test.